In a land scorched by sun and starved of water, something extraordinary happened. The Negev Desert, once dismissed as barren and lifeless, now yields fresh produce, cutting-edge innovation, and vibrant communities. How is it possible that a country with over half of its territory covered in desert managed to turn sand into sustenance? This is the story of Israel's transformation of the Negev, a tale of vision, struggle, science, and perseverance. A tale that proves the impossible is often just the untried. When the State of Israel was established in 1948, its founders faced a formidable challenge. More than 60% of its land was desert. The Negev stretched across the southern half of the country, harsh, dry, and seemingly inhospitable. It lacked water, infrastructure, and population. For many, it was a no-man's land, useful only as a buffer zone. But for David Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister, the Negev was the future. He once declared, "It is in the Negev that the creativity and pioneering vigor of Israel shall be tested." These weren't empty words. Ben-Gurion moved to the Negev himself, settling in a kibbutz called Sde Boker. His move was symbolic, but it was also deeply strategic. He knew that the survival of the young nation depended on mastering the desert. The biggest obstacle? Water. Or, rather, the lack of it. The Negev receives less than 200 millimeters of rainfall per year. That's not enough to sustain basic agriculture, let alone support a thriving population. But necessity, as always, sparked innovation. Israeli scientists and engineers got to work. They didn't wait for rain. They created a new vision of water management. One of the game-changing breakthroughs was drip irrigation. Invented in Israel in the 1960s by engineer Simcha Blas and his son, this revolutionary system delivers water directly to the roots of plants in tiny, precise amounts. This minimizes evaporation, conserves water, and maximizes crop yield. In traditional farming, much of the water is wasted. But with drip irrigation, every drop counts. Today, drip irrigation is used all over the world, but its birthplace was the Negev. It allowed Israeli farmers to grow crops where none should grow. Suddenly, green fields began to appear in the middle of arid terrain. Tomatoes, cucumbers, melons, and grapes began to thrive. Desert farming was no longer a dream. It was reality. But solving water supply meant more than just drip systems. It meant finding new water sources. One of Israel's boldest decisions was to invest in desalination. With the Mediterranean Sea at its doorstep, Israel began converting seawater into drinkable water. At first, it was expensive and energy-intensive, but over time, technological advances made it efficient. Today, over 80% of Israel's domestic water comes from desalinated or recycled sources. And then there's wastewater recycling. While most countries treat and discard sewage, Israel treats and reuses more than 85% of its wastewater for agriculture. This makes Israel the world leader in water reuse. Fields in the Negev are often irrigated with recycled water, clean, safe, and sustainable. These technologies didn't develop in a vacuum. Israel fostered a culture of innovation. The government partnered with universities, research institutes, and startups to make desert agriculture a national priority. The result? The Negev became a laboratory for sustainable living. In places like the Arava Valley, once lifeless terrain now hosts bustling farms and greenhouses. Crops are grown in nutrient-rich soils, enhanced with organic compost, hydroponic systems, and advanced monitoring tools. Farmers use data to adjust irrigation, nutrients, and even light levels. Every plant is part of a precision-controlled system designed for maximum efficiency. But perhaps most impressive is the fact that this transformation didn't stop with agriculture. Urban development soon followed. The city of Beersheba, located on the edge of the Negev, has become a hub of high-tech innovation. The Israeli government, alongside private investors, transformed it into a cybersecurity capital. Universities expanded, tech parks were built, and a vibrant student population arrived. Meanwhile, towns like Yeruham and Dimona saw investment in infrastructure, education, and community development. Solar power plants sprang up in the desert, capitalizing on the endless sun. The Negev became not just a source of food, but of energy, innovation, and opportunity. Still, the transformation wasn't without challenges. The Bedouin communities, indigenous to the Negev, often felt excluded from development plans. Their traditional lifestyles clashed with Israel's modernization projects. Over the years, there have been tensions, protests, and negotiations around land rights, housing, and access to resources. Yet efforts have been made to include Bedouin youth in education and technology initiatives. Programs were launched to train them in farming, engineering, and entrepreneurship. The goal? To ensure that the Negev's future includes everyone who calls it home. Environmentalists also raised concerns. Rapid development, they warned, could threaten the fragile desert ecosystem. Israel responded by adopting environmental safeguards. New projects must undergo ecological reviews. National parks and nature reserves have been established to protect wildlife and biodiversity. The key theme running through Israel's desert transformation is resilience. The Negev's rebirth was not the result of luck. It was born from bold decisions, relentless experimentation, and an unwavering belief that nature could be shaped, not conquered, but guided. Today, the Negev is not only blooming, but feeding thousands and inspiring millions. Farmers from Africa, Asia, and Latin America come to Israel to learn how to farm in arid lands. Governments and NGOs study the Israeli model of water management. Even in times of conflict and uncertainty, the story of the Negev offers hope, proof that human ingenuity can overcome even the harshest conditions. But there's still more to do. Climate change is bringing new challenges. Rising temperatures, shifting rainfall patterns, and global water shortages mean the lessons of the Negev are more important than ever. What began as a survival tactic has become a global necessity. Israel now exports not only food, but knowledge. The Negev has become a beacon, a desert that teaches the world how to grow, how to conserve, and how to thrive when resources are scarce. This story is not just about a country. It's about what humans can achieve when they stop seeing limitations and start building solutions. The desert, once feared, has become a partner. It is no longer an obstacle. It is a canvas. So the next time someone tells you something can't be done, remember the Negev. Remember the dry winds that now carry the scent of olive trees. Remember the soil that once cracked with thirst and now brims with life. Remember the people who dared to turn sand into sustenance. And ask yourself, if they could do this with a desert, what can we do with our world?